The grand chamber of the Galactic Council shimmered with light as thousands of alien leaders gathered to celebrate peace. Banners of every world hung from the high glass dome, and a calm melody filled the air. For the first time in 100 years, there were no wars, no rebellions, no fear. The galaxy had finally achieved what everyone thought was impossible: unity. On the central podium, the council speaker, a tall blue-skinned being with silver eyes, raised his hands. "Today," he announced proudly, "the age of war ends forever. No more fleets will burn the stars. No more planets will fall. Peace has returned to the galaxy." The chamber exploded in applause. In the crowd, Ambassador Kale of the Van species clapped slowly. His thin fingers tapped nervously against his desk. His people had suffered under human wars long ago, but something about this celebration felt wrong. He turned to his assistant, a young alien named Mira. "Do you feel it?" he whispered. Mira frowned. "Feel what, sir?" Kyle lowered his voice. "Silence. The kind that hides something." Mira looked confused. "Humans are gone, sir. There's nothing left to fear." Kale forced a small smile. "That's what worries me." Far away from the Council's golden hall, a lonely satellite orbited a dead moon. Its sensors flickered after centuries of silence. A red light blinked once, twice, then steady. The satellite began transmitting an emergency signal, but static filled the channel. The ancient machine tried again, catching glimpses of something enormous moving through the void, a shape darker than space itself. The data stream captured fragments of metallic hulls, cold energy signatures and whispers of engines that should not exist. Before the message could finish sending, the signal went dead back in the council hall. The celebration continued. The speaker raised a golden cup. "To peace everlasting," he shouted. Everyone lifted their glasses. The walls shook softly, but no one noticed. Kale, however, felt the vibration through the floor. He looked down, then around the room. "Did you feel that?" he asked. Mira nodded nervously. "Probably the engines of the station," she said. But Kale's instincts screamed otherwise. He stood up, his chair scraping loudly, drawing eyes toward him. "Mr. Kyle," the speaker said, irritated, "please, we are celebrating." Kyle's voice trembled slightly. "Something isn't right." The speaker frowned. "Sit down, Ambassador. You humans were always paranoid." The crowd laughed politely. Kale's jaw tightened. "I am not human," he said quietly. "But I have learned from them. When peace comes too easily, it never lasts." As the night went on, the lights dimmed for the fireworks show. Outside the transparent dome, colorful plasma explosions painted the stars. But among those lights, something else appeared. Small, dark shapes drifting at the edge of the system. They were barely visible, like shadows behind firelight. One technician in the observation deck noticed. "Sir, do you see that?" She whispered to her commander. The commander squinted. "Probably debris. Enjoy the show." The technician hesitated, zooming in on her scanner. Her hands froze. "That's not debris," she whispered. The shapes moved in formation. Precise, deliberate, then they vanished, as if melting into the darkness. Meanwhile, Kyle returned to his private quarters. He couldn't shake the unease. He opened his data terminal and accessed the old archive, files locked since the end of the human war. Most had been erased, but one remained, a short, damaged transmission. The voice was human, calm and steady. "Protocol Phantom. Initiated." Kyle stared at the screen, whispering, "Phantom? What does that mean?" Mira entered quietly. "Sir, everyone's celebrating. You should join them." Kyle turned the screen toward her. "Look at this. This was recorded on Earth's final day." The message repeated, "Protocol Phantom. Initiated." Mira looked confused. "Maybe it's a myth," she said. "No," Kyle murmured. "It's a promise." Suddenly, the chamber lights flickered. Power systems across the council station dimmed, and the fireworks outside vanished into blackness. An alarm blared. "Security alert! Unidentified signal approaching." Kyle ran to the window. His heart pounded as he saw hundreds of faint blue lights forming in the distance. They weren't fireworks. They were engines, silent, coordinated, cold. "Ships," he whispered. "Human ships." The speaker's voice echoed through the hall's intercom. Remain calm, this is a false alarm. But as the lights grew larger, the truth became undeniable. They weren't ghosts or debris. They were real, Mira gasped. But humans are extinct. Kyle shook his head slowly. No extinction, only preparation. The first of the phantom ships appeared in orbit, sleek and black, glowing faintly with blue-white lines like veins of ice. The Council's defense grid tried to activate, but every system failed at once. Screens went dark. Communication lines went silent. The entire station was blind. A voice came through the static, deep and human. "We remember." Every alien froze. The sound echoed through every speaker across the capital. The Speaker of the Council shouted, "Identify yourself." The voice replied calmly, "You celebrated peace built on our graves. Now you will remember who you buried." Kyle stood still, eyes wide with awe and fear. Mira clutched his arm. "What do we do?" He whispered back. "We listen. The Phantom Fleet didn't fire, didn't attack. It simply hovered in silence, a shadow against the stars, and just as suddenly as they appeared, the ships vanished again into the void. Leaving the Council trembling in silence, the celebration was over. The galaxy's peace was not peace at all. It was a pause before the reckoning. Kyle watched the dark space where the ships had been and whispered, "The humans never died. They just learned how to disappear." The stars around him felt colder than ever, and the illusion of safety shattered like glass. The galaxy had rejoiced at peace, but tonight it had felt the breath of ghosts returning from the dark. The council chamber remained tense after the mysterious fleet appeared and vanished. Rumors spread faster than light. Every species blamed another. Some said it was a hoax. Others whispered that it was revenge from beyond the stars. Only one person didn't laugh, Ambassador Kyle. He sat in his dim quarters, staring at the frozen message on his screen, the one that kept repeating in a human voice. Protocol Phantom initiated. The same phrase that echoed through his mind all night. Mira entered quietly with a datapad in her hands. "Sir, the Council is demanding an explanation," she said. Kyle looked up, his face pale. "An explanation for what?" Mira hesitated. "For the ships, sir. They think you might know something. Since you were studying human archives." Kyle sighed deeply. "Of course they do. The galaxy always fears what it does not understand." He stood up slowly. "But this time I fear they have good reason. When they entered the council chamber, hundreds of alien representatives shouted over one another, 'This is sabotage.' Those ships were holograms." "No, they destroyed our senses." The speaker slammed his staff down. "Silence." The room fell quiet. He turned to Kale. "Ambassador Kale, you were the one who accessed the human records before this incident. Explain yourself." Kyle met his gaze calmly. "I was researching the final days of Earth. What I found should concern us all." The speaker narrowed his eyes. "Go on." Kyle projected the last human transmission into the air. The deep human voice filled the chamber again. "Protocol Phantom initiated," then silence. The speaker frowned. "Meaningless," he said. Kyle shook his head. "No, it was their plan. The humans knew they couldn't win the war, so they vanished. But what if they didn't die? What if they built something in the dark?" The council erupted in laughter and disbelief. "Nonsense! The human empire was reduced to ash." "You insult our intelligence." Kale's voice rose sharply. "Do I? Then explain the fleet that appeared here 2 nights ago." The room fell silent. Kyle continued, "The humans are not gone. They've been watching, waiting, and now they are back." The speaker glared. "Ambassador Kyle, your words spread fear. You will cease this investigation." Kyle clenched his fists. "If I stop, you'll be blind when the next shadow falls." The guards stepped forward. "Escort him out," the speaker ordered. Kyle and Mira were forced out of the chamber. As they walked through the corridor, Mira whispered, "They'll silence you for this." Kyle smirked bitterly. "They can silence me, but not the truth." He paused, looking at the stars through the glass window. "The humans left behind signals, hidden trails. I intend to find them." Later that night, Kyle sneaked into the restricted data vault. Rows of glowing consoles stretched endlessly. He typed in old human encryption codes, ones thought to be obsolete. The system resisted, but eventually unlocked a hidden archive. The lights dimmed, and a hologram flickered to life. It showed a human scientist speaking to a group of officers. "If we fail," she said, "we will become the shadows. Our enemies will think us gone, but we will build in silence. We will rise when they forget what fear means." Kyle froze, whispering, "They planned this." Mira looked at him, eyes wide. "So the Phantom Armada isn't an accident?" Kale nodded. "No, it's vengeance crafted over generations." Suddenly alarms blared. "Unauthorized access detected." Kale grabbed the data chip and ran. "They found us!" Mira shouted. Guards appeared at the end of the corridor. "Stop!" Kale slammed a door control, sealing them inside a maintenance tunnel. The hum of machinery echoed as they ran through the narrow path. "Where are we going?" Mira gasped. "To the old relay station," Cal replied. "We'll send this to every colony before they erase it." They reached the communication tower, its massive antennas glowing against the void. Kale inserted the chip into the terminal. "Please work," he whispered. The screen flickered to life, showing encrypted coordinates, several star systems marked with human symbols. Mira pointed at one. "That's near the outer rim." "No one goes there." Kyle stared at it. "Exactly. Which means that's where they are." The system began transmitting the data to neutral planets. But just before the upload finished, a loud explosion shook the tower. Security drones swarmed the sky. "They found us!" Mira shouted. Kyle grabbed her arm. "Run to the shuttle, I'll finish the upload." Mira hesitated. "No." "You'll die?" Kyle smiled sadly. "Someone has to warn them." Mira ran toward the hangar as Kyle typed the final command. "Transmission complete," the console said. He turned to see the drones hovering outside the shattered window. "Ambassador Kyle, you are under arrest," a metallic voice ordered. Kyle looked up defiantly. "You can arrest me, but you can't stop them." The drones fired. The explosion filled the tower with light from orbit. Mira's shuttle escaped into hyperspace. She watched the communication tower collapse in flames, tears in her eyes. The transmission had gone out. It was too late to erase it across the galaxy. Colonies received the mysterious message, "Protocol Phantom lives." On distant worlds, old satellites began activating. Systems long dead flickered with new energy. And in the deep shadows of the outer rim, a fleet awoke. Silent engines roared to life. Their hulls bore the mark of a forgotten world, Earth. A single voice echoed across their network, calm and cold. "It's time." Back on the Council's capital, the speaker watched the chaos unfold. "What have we done?" he muttered. The illusion of peace was falling apart. And Kale's warning echoed in his mind. Humanity had not perished. They had hidden, evolved, and now they were coming home. As Mira's ship sped through the darkness, she whispered to herself, "They tried to erase you, but you never left, did you?" The stars outside glowed faintly red, as if answering her question. Somewhere ahead, beyond the edge of known space, the ghosts of Earth were waiting. The galaxy had celebrated its victory too soon, and now the forgotten would rise to remind them what survival truly meant. The galaxy woke in fear. News of the transmission spread like wildfire. Every station, colony, and ship had heard the same words. "Protocol Phantom lives." It echoed in the minds of billions. The Council tried to control the panic, saying it was a hacker's trick, but deep down, everyone knew something terrible was coming. Ships vanished along trade routes, outposts went silent, and strange readings appeared near abandoned sectors. People began whispering one name again, the humans. Mira had been on the run for days, hiding from the Council's patrols. Her small shuttle floated among asteroids, silent and cold. She stared at the blinking console showing Kale's last message. "Find them," he had said. "Show the galaxy the truth." She clenched her jaw, whispering, "I will." "Kale!" The coordinates he sent pointed toward the edge of the Orion Rift, a dark region filled with magnetic storms and broken worlds. No ship had returned from there in centuries. Her AI assistant spoke softly. "Captain Mira, we are approaching the coordinates." She nodded. "Power down all systems except life support." The shuttle drifted into the void like a piece of debris. Lightning storms flashed outside, painting the metal walls with blue light. She could hear her own heartbeat. The scanner beeped faintly. Something massive was nearby. "Show me!" she ordered. The display flickered, revealing ghostly shapes half hidden by plasma clouds. They looked like ships, hundreds of them. "Arranged in perfect formation," Mira whispered. "The Phantom Armada." Suddenly her console lit up with a warning, an incoming signal. Her deep male voice echoed through her speakers. "Unidentified vessel. You have entered restricted space." Mira froze. "This is Mira of the Galactic Council," she said quickly. "I'm not here to fight, I'm here to talk." There was silence. Then the voice replied, calm but sharp. "The Council has no voice here. Power down completely or be destroyed." Mira took a deep breath. "I'm not your enemy, Kale sent me." There was a pause. Then the voice changed slightly, colder now. "Kyle is dead." Mira's eyes filled with tears. "I know," she whispered. "He died trying to warn you." The voice stayed silent for a long time before replying, "Dock at the signal beacon. Any sudden movement and you'll be vaporized." Her shuttle moved slowly toward a massive structure that appeared through the mist, a shipyard the size of a moon. Built from wreckage of ancient battleships, human markings covered the hulls, but the technology looked far beyond anything the Council had ever seen. When she landed, a team of armored soldiers surrounded her. Their armor was dark gray with glowing blue lines, and their helmets reflected the light like glass. One soldier stepped forward, his voice deep through the comms. "Remove your weapon." Mira raised her hands. "I don't have one." They led her through long corridors, filled with machines and holograms, showing old war footage. Earth burning, fleets falling, then new images appeared. Blueprints of ships unlike any before. The soldier spoke again. "We are the descendants of the fallen. We built what they couldn't finish," Mira asked softly. "You're humans." The soldier nodded. "What's left of them?" Finally, they reached a control room, where a tall man stood facing a window filled with starlight. He wore no helmet, only a dark uniform with a single emblem, a blue circle with a white star. "So the Council sends spies now," he said without turning. Mira stepped forward. "I'm not a spy. I came because I know what's happening. The Council lied to everyone. They erased your history." The man turned slowly, his eyes cold and sharp. "You think I don't know that?" "We watched as they celebrated our death," Mira hesitated. "Then why now? Why reveal yourselves after all these years?" The man walked closer. "Because they forgot fear." He pointed to a holographic map showing the galaxy. Several red zones blinked. "Those are colonies built on worlds that once belonged to us. They mine our graves, live on our ruins, and call it peace." Mira looked at him with sorrow. "Revenge won't bring balance." He smiled faintly. "This isn't revenge, it's remembrance." Before she could speak, an alarm blared across the ship. "Incoming fleet detected." A voice shouted. The man turned sharply. "Council forces, they found you." Mira's eyes widened. "They tracked my ship," he nodded grimly, "and now they'll regret it." The giant bay doors opened, revealing hundreds of phantom ships activating. Their engines glowed like dying stars, moving silently through the clouds. Mira ran to the viewport as the Council fleet entered orbit. Sleek golden ships glowing brightly against the darkness. "They'll be destroyed," she said in panic. The man crossed his arms. "Then they'll learn what they created." The first Council cruiser fired, beams of light cutting through the mist, but they passed through holograms, decoys. Then suddenly, real human ships appeared behind them, firing precision strikes within minutes. Half the fleet was disabled. One commander's voice screamed through open channels, "They're everywhere! They're invisible!" Another shouted, "Our systems are locking up!" The human fleet moved like ghosts, coordinated and silent. Within 10 minutes, the sky went dark. The Council fleet was gone, not destroyed, but drifting. Powerless, Mira watched in shock. "You didn't kill them?" The man looked at her. "We don't need to. We want them to remember fear, not extinction." He turned back to the window. "You will return to them. Tell your Council what you saw." Mira frowned. "They won't believe me." He smirked slightly. "They will when they see what's coming." He handed her a small data drive. Give them this. It holds the truth about what they did to us. Mira took it carefully. Why trust me? She asked. The man's expression softened for a moment. Because Kale believed in you, and because somewhere deep inside, you still believe in peace. As her shuttle left the shadow of the Phantom Fleet, she looked back one last time. Hundreds of ships glided silently through the mist, their hulls reflecting faint light like ghosts on a forgotten battlefield. The human fleet was real, alive, and waiting. She whispered softly, Kale, you were right. Back at the Council's capital, the speaker sat in his dark office when a message arrived from deep space. He opened it, expecting another false alarm, but what he saw made his hands shake. The image showed the human emblem glowing bright, with a voice saying, You celebrated peace built on lies now. Face the truth. The screen went black, and for the first time in generations, the speaker felt something the galaxy had forgotten: fear. The council chamber was in chaos. Fear had spread like wildfire. Reports of the Phantom Armada were now impossible to hide. Colonies had gone dark, fleets had vanished, and communication relays carried the same terrifying message: Earth's descendants had returned. The speaker slammed his fist against the table. We need control, he shouted. This panic will destroy us before they even attack. But his voice trembled, and the other leaders could hear it. In the corner, Admiral Vaughn, the commander of the Council Defense Fleet, stood with a grim expression. We've already lost 6 fleets, he said. They don't fight like anyone we've faced before. They move without sound, without light, and when we think we've cornered them, they vanish. The speaker turned sharply. So you're saying we can't fight them? Vaughn hesitated. Not like this. They know our systems, our tactics, even our weaknesses. It's as if they designed them. Mira entered the chamber quietly, holding the small data drive the human commander had given her. The guards stopped her, but the speaker waved them aside. You again, he said coldly. Your lies have caused enough fear. Mira met his glare. They're not lies. I've seen them. They don't want peace, but they don't want war either. They want you to remember. She placed the drive on the table. Play this. The hologram flickered to life, showing the human commander standing before a massive fleet. His voice was calm but powerful. To the Council, who built empires on our ashes, who called us monsters. This is not vengeance, it is balance. You built peace on graves, and you forgot who filled them. The image shifted, showing archive footage of the human homeworld burning. Council ships firing from orbit, civilians running through flames. The speaker looked away, ashamed. The voice continued. You called it cleansing, we called it survival. You thought you ended us, but we learned to live in your shadow. The transmission ended with one final line. We don't want your worlds, we want your truth. The chamber fell silent. One councillor spoke softly. He's not wrong, another shouted. They're manipulating us. One slammed his hand down. Enough. Whether they're right or wrong, they're coming. And if we don't act, there won't be a council left to argue. Outside the station, the sky turned dark. The first wave of human ships appeared like ghosts. Hundreds of them surrounded the capital. Engines glowed faintly, but their weapons remained offline. They didn't fire. They just hovered, watching, waiting. The speaker's voice shook. What are they doing? Vaughn watched the radar carefully. They're not attacking, sir. They're showing us how powerless we are. A sudden flash of light erupted from orbit. A single human ship descended toward the planet. Sleek and silent, it stopped over the council tower. Its presence alone made the air tremble. They're sending a message, Vaughn said quietly. The speaker gritted his teeth. Then let's respond. He turned to Mira. Open a channel. The hologram flickered again, revealing the same human commander. His face calm, his eyes unreadable. Council speaker, he greeted. You finally decided to speak. The speaker straightened. This is a violation of every treaty in the galaxy. You are threatening the peace we built. The commander tilted his head slightly. Peace, he said softly. Peace built on silence is not peace, it's fear. The speaker raised his voice. We gave order to chaos. We ended the wars. The commander's tone turned cold. By erasing the ones who started them, You buried your sins under words like unity and law. Vaughn stepped forward. If you want justice, then speak it plainly. The commander looked at him. Justice died when you bombed our cities, Admiral. I was born in the ruins you made. His voice dropped to a whisper. And I swore the stars would remember. Without warning, every screen in the city went dark. The entire planetary defense grid shut down. Sirens blaring, "We're under attack!" Someone shouted, but the human commander's voice echoed through the comms. No, not attack, a reminder outside. The massive ship projected an image across the sky, Earth as it once was, blue and alive. Then it faded into the burning image of its destruction. Millions of aliens watched from their windows. Silent and horrified, the message was clear. The speaker whispered, "What do you want?" The answer came quickly. "Confession, tell the galaxy the truth, end the lie you built on our graves. Do that, and we will disappear again." The speaker hesitated. "And if we refuse?" The commander's eyes turned to steel. "Then the Phantom Armada will erase every trace of your empire, not with fire, but with silence. You will vanish as we did." Vaughn stepped forward. "You can't fight everyone. Even humans can't win against the galaxy." The commander gave a faint smile. "We already have, you just don't know it yet." The transmission ended. The human ship pulled back into orbit and vanished without a sound. The radar went blank, the city lights flickered back on. Mira looked around the room. "You see? They could have destroyed us, but they didn't." The speaker sat down heavily, his face pale. "They want me to confess," he whispered. "To tell the galaxy that we burned Earth." Vaughn crossed his arms. "Maybe it's time." The speaker glared at him. "You're suggesting surrender." Vaughn shook his head. "No, I'm suggesting truth." Later that night, the speaker stood before a live broadcast that reached every corner of the galaxy. Billions of beings watched as he spoke. "We once believed humanity was a threat to peace. We were wrong. We destroyed them to protect our power, not our people. And now their ghosts have returned to remind us what we tried to forget." His voice broke as he said the last words. "May history forgive us." In the deep reaches of space, the Phantom Armada received the signal. The human commander watched silently. "He told the truth," one of his officers said. The commander nodded slowly. "Then our work here is done." The fleet began to fade once again into the mist, disappearing as quietly as it came. Back on the council world, Mira watched the stars from her balcony. The air was calm for the first time in years. She whispered softly, "Kyle, you were right. They didn't want war, they wanted memory." In the sky above, a faint blue light flickered once, then was gone. The galaxy finally knew peace, not from silence, but from truth. The galaxy was silent for the first time in centuries. The Council's confession had spread across every star system. Worlds once united under pride now trembled under guilt. Statues of alien heroes were torn down, and the story of Earth's destruction played endlessly on every broadcast. Some called it justice, others called it madness. But one thing was certain, no one slept peacefully anymore. The Phantom Armada had vanished again, leaving behind fear and shame. Mira walked through the halls of the council tower. Her steps echoed in the emptiness. Many leaders had resigned or fled after the confession. The once crowded chamber was now quiet. "You did what Kale wanted," said a voice behind her. Admiral Vaughn stood there, his uniform half unbuttoned, his face lined with exhaustion. "You made them tell the truth." Mira turned. "It wasn't me, it was them. They forced the galaxy to face its past." Vaughn nodded slowly. "Maybe, but it doesn't end here," she frowned. "What do you mean?" He looked at the massive star map projected on the wall. "There are reports, entire sectors going dark again, trade routes silent, colonies gone without a trace." Mira's heart sank. "You think it's them?" Vaughn's voice dropped. "Who else? Far beyond council space, deep in the dark between galaxies." The Phantom Armada drifted in silence. The human commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the stars. His officers waited behind him. "The council confessed," one of them said. "The truth is out," the commander nodded. "And yet, the galaxy still sleeps in denial." He turned toward them. "They believe the confession is enough, But guilt fades quickly. He looked out the window again. We were erased once. We won't let it happen again. A soft alarm blinked on his console. Incoming transmission, a voice reported. The commander raised a brow. From who? The officer hesitated. It's from Mira. Sir, the commander motioned to open the channel. Her hologram appeared, faint and flickering. You said it was over, she said firmly. You said peace would return. The commander's expression remained calm. Peace is not a speech. It's a choice, and they have not chosen it. Mira's tone sharpened. Destroying colonies won't fix history. The commander's eyes narrowed. We are not destroying them. We are removing their weapons, their power, their lies. Mira stepped closer, her voice pleading. They know now, they're afraid. Isn't that enough? The commander looked away. Fear is temporary. Truth without action is just noise. The transmission ended. Leaving Mira staring at the blank air, she whispered to herself. Kyle warned this would happen. Vaughn entered her office moments later. They've struck 3 more colonies, he said. No casualties, but every military installation was disabled. Every database wiped clean. Mira closed her eyes. They're cleansing the galaxy, not with fire, but silence. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the flagship Eidolon, the commander met with his second-in-command, a woman named Arya. They think we are monsters, she said quietly. Perhaps we are becoming what they made us. He didn't reply. She continued. Kyle believed peace could be rebuilt. Maybe Mira does too. He turned toward her. Belief doesn't change what was done. Arya sighed. Then what will? He looked at the stars again. Understanding, and if not that, fear. On the Council world, Mira decided to act on her own. She accessed the hidden archives Kyle had once used. There, she found something no one had ever seen before. Records of human survivors who had been taken by secret council programs, used for research and hidden away on remote moons. Oh no, she whispered. They didn't just destroy Earth. They kept some alive. She ran to Vaughn's quarters, bursting through the door. I found something, she said breathlessly. There were survivors. The council experimented on them. Vaughn froze. That can't be true. Mira handed him the data pad. It is. And if the Phantom Armada learns this, they'll never stop. He scrolled through the files, his hands trembling. This could reignite everything, Mira nodded. We have to tell them before someone else does. Hours later, Mira's shuttle left orbit again, heading toward the edge of the galaxy. She followed the same dark path that led her to them before. Lightning storms surrounded her as she entered the rift. Her ship trembled, alarms screamed, and then silence. A massive shadow appeared before her. It was the fleet, waiting like ghosts in the dark. Unidentified vessel, a voice called again. You are trespassing, Mira answered. This is Mira. I need to speak to your commander. It's urgent. There was a long pause before the reply came. Proceed. When she entered the flagship, the commander stood waiting, his expression unreadable. You came back, he said quietly. Mira held out the data pad. You need to see this. He took it. Scanning quickly, his jaw tightened. They did this, he muttered. Arya stepped forward. Sir, what does it mean? He looked at her, his voice low and dangerous. It means the council didn't just kill us. They used us. Mira stepped closer. Now you understand why I came. You can't punish the whole galaxy for what their ancestors did. The commander looked at her. You think I can forgive this? She shook her head. Not forgive, but stop the cycle. You're proving them right. His hands clenched into fists. They turned us into monsters. Mira met his eyes. Then don't be one. The room fell silent. The commander looked down at the data pad. The images of the imprisoned humans reflected in his eyes. He whispered softly, We built our fleet for justice, not revenge. He turned to his officers. Release the colonies. End the interference. Arya looked at him surprised. You're letting them go. He nodded slowly. Yes, because for the first time, someone chose truth over power. He turned to Mira. You did what your council never could. As Mira left the flagship, she looked back one last time. The phantom ships began to fade again into the mist, disappearing like shadows returning to sleep. A voice came through her comms. The commander's final words, tell them, Peace isn't given, it's earned. Her ship crossed back into council space. The stars calm once more. She sat in silence, thinking of Kale, of Earth, of all the lives lost. A faint light blinked on her console, an incoming message. She opened it and a single line appeared. For now, the ghosts rest, she smiled softly, whispering. Then maybe peace can finally live. The galaxy was quiet. Not from fear this time, but from understanding. Humanity's shadow had taught them all a lesson. The truth can haunt, but it can also heal. The stars burned quietly across the void. For months, the galaxy had remained still. The phantom armada was gone, the council was rebuilding, and whispers of peace began to rise again. But silence in the galaxy never lasted long. It always came before the storm, in the council chamber. Mira stood beside Admiral Vaughn as new reports arrived. 3 colonies in the rim sectors, Vaughn said. All gone dark again, Mira frowned. The humans. He shook his head. No transmissions, no attacks, just gone. The speaker leaned forward, his face pale. After everything, you're telling me they've returned. Vaughn hesitated. We don't know. That night, Mira sat alone in her quarters, staring at the stars. The Phantom Armada's final words haunted her. Peace isn't given, it's earned, she whispered. Then why does peace still feel so far away? Her communicator blinked suddenly. She pressed it, expecting a report, but instead a voice she never thought she'd hear spoke softly. Mira. She froze. Commander. The voice was faint but unmistakable. They're coming. Her breath caught. Who? The signal crackled. Not us, the message ended, leaving only static within hours. Emergency alarms echoed through the capital. Vaughn rushed into the control room. We're detecting an unknown fleet entering our space. Technicians scrambled to identify the ships. Not human, sir, one shouted. The energy readings are different, much stronger. Mira arrived, eyes wide. Who else could it be? Vaughn turned to her, his voice low. Maybe the ones who feared humans as much as we did. Moments later, the holographic display lit up with thousands of red signals. A vast alien fleet was moving toward the heart of Council space. Their ships were black, spiked, alive-looking. The Dominion, Vaughn said grimly. They were exiled centuries ago. The speaker panicked. Contact the humans! We need help! Mira shook her head. They won't come. But deep inside, she hoped she was wrong. The Dominion fleet attacked without warning. Energy blasts tore through defense lines. Cities burned. The Council's armies tried to fight, but they were outmatched. Vaughn barked orders. Evacuate civilians! Fall back to the central defense grid. Mira watched from the command deck, the flames reflecting in her eyes. This can't be happening again, she whispered. Hours passed. The capital was collapsing, and the sky was filled with fire. Mira sat beside Vaughn as their ships were pushed back. If the humans were here, he muttered, this would be different. She looked down. They're gone, Vaughn. They made their choice. Suddenly the lights flickered. The main console beeped with a familiar signal. Incoming transmission, said a technician. Vaughn looked up. From who? The screen filled with static, then a symbol appeared. The blue and white flag of Earth. The crew fell silent. Mira whispered, They came back. The voice of the human commander filled the room. Calm and powerful, to those who once called us ghosts. We return only for truth. You are not our enemy, but the enemy has come for you. Outside, the void shimmered. Hundreds of human warships appeared from hyperspace. Their hulls glowing faintly like blades of light. The room erupted in cheers. Vaughn grinned. I never thought I'd be happy to see them. The battle began almost instantly. The Phantom Armada moved with terrifying precision, forming defensive walls around the Council's last remaining fleets. Target their command ships, the human commander ordered. Protect the civilians! The Dominion fought fiercely, but the humans were faster, smarter. Every movement felt planned, every strike surgical. Still, the enemy's numbers were overwhelming. Mira's voice came through the human flagship's comms. We can't hold them much longer. The commander's tone stayed calm. Then we end this together. He turned to his officers. Repair the Ark protocol. Arya, his second-in-command, froze. "Sir, that's suicide." He met her gaze. "It's survival. Outside." Human ships began forming into a single massive formation, energy building between them like lightning weaving a storm. The Dominion forces closed in, their weapons glowing red. "What are they doing?" Vaughn asked. Mira's eyes widened as realization hit. They're turning their fleet into a weapon. The human commander's final message echoed across every open frequency. "You called us ghosts, but ghosts don't die. They endure. This is for Earth, for every world that forgot its humanity." The human fleet unleashed its power, a blinding wave of energy tearing across the void. The Dominion ships disintegrated instantly, their dark hulls melting into light. The blast spread, shaking the capital's skies. Then silence. When the light faded, the human fleet was gone, not destroyed, just vanished again. No trace, no signal, only the calm of space. Vaughn stared at the scanner. "They did it," he whispered. "They saved us." Mira's voice trembled. "At what cost?" Days later, the Council began rebuilding. The Dominion threat was gone, but so was the Phantom Armada. Memorials were raised for both. The fallen humans and the defenders of the galaxy. Mira stood before one of the statues, carved in the image of a human soldier standing beneath the Earth flag. A small inscription read, "They disappeared to save those who erased them." Vaughn approached quietly. "You think they're really gone this time?" he asked. Mira looked at the stars. "No," she said softly. "They always come back when the galaxy forgets." That night, far beyond known space, a small signal pulsed from the dark. A voice whispering through the void. "Protocol Phantom complete." The stars shimmered faintly, as if answering. And for the first time in history, the galaxy understood that peace was not something to celebrate. It was something to protect. Humanity had become legend once again, not through conquest, but through sacrifice. And though they were gone, their presence lingered, silent and eternal, watching from the edge of the stars, ensuring that no one ever forgot what they had learned. The ghosts of Earth had saved the galaxy once more, and this time they left behind not fear, but hope.